KBOI 2 News, first at 4.
And we start this afternoon with a look at the Weiser River. It is supposed to hit 13 feet by tomorrow morning.
And that is the highest level so far this year, and it's sure to be another big blow to the small town. Thanks for joining us. I'm Brent Hunsaker.
And I'm Natalie Hurst. The Weiser River is not the only river on the rise.
That's right. So we have team coverage tonight. We start with Jeff Platt. He's been tracking the conditions along the Boise River. Jeff.
Brent, you can see behind me just how fast the river is going. It's around 7,000 CFS right now. And what that's causing is flooding on sections of the green belt, especially areas near bridge underpasses. You can see right here, it's coming up to my knees. This stick was a little further out. It's even higher than that. And because of that, Boise Parks and Rec has closed off these sections of the green belt. They don't want anyone even taking a chance of getting in them. You can be swept away by 6 inches of fast-moving water. You really don't want to take the chance with 18 inches of fast-moving water, especially when you consider that by tomorrow, the Boise River is going to be moving at least 500 cubic feet per second faster than it is now, which means it's going to be even higher, and this flooding is going to be even worse. That's all I have for you right now, but I'm going to keep an eye on the conditions. Reporting live in Boise, Jeff Platt, KBOI 2 News.
Thanks, Jeff. And actually, we're just getting new numbers into the newsroom right now. The river now flowing at more than 7,500 cubic feet per second. On average, it's usually roughly under 1,400 CFS. Now, at the Glenwood Bridge, the water is more than 10.5 feet deep.
By tomorrow afternoon, the Weiser River is predicted to be at major flood stage. KBOI 2's Brian Morin is live in Weiser to tell us about one couple that's not waiting around, not this time.
Yeah, Brent, I'm standing along Cove Road. This is the bridge that spans across the Weiser River. Of course, Cove Road is where we saw all that devastation back on February 10th. Now, if you look behind me, you see the river right now is running at 9.5 feet. And again, it's expected to crest tomorrow between 13 and 14 feet.
And everybody's way more on edge than I've ever seen them, because we just don't know what to expect.
Barbara Pruner and her husband lost their home in the February 10th flood. You can see watermarks around their home. The Weiser River sending a foot of water inside above the floor line.
And it's not just water that just comes up like this. It was the river changed course, and it had current. And in our garage, it took all this stuff that it was going to kill and just smashed it against the side of the wall.
Evidence of the last flood can still be seen. Trees scarred by ice chunks and logs. 4,000-pound concrete blocks pushed 30 feet by those floodwaters. Now you can see evidence the Weiser River might make a return. This field behind the Pruner's home is starting to fill up.
Oh, I don't know. We're all in a state of shock, I think. We're the only ones that were declared a total loss, but now we have this scare coming up for this third flood.
All right, back on February 10th, the river was running at under 12 feet, 11.85 feet to be exact. And again, tomorrow it's going to be between 13 and 14 feet deep, which is a full 1.5 feet higher at least compared to where it was. But keep in mind, back on February 10th, they also had ice chunks. I can tell you, standing out here, I haven't seen a single ice chunk, so hopefully that will alleviate some of the danger because it will prevent that water from getting backed up. And I would like to point out, Barbara and her husband told me they've had it. They're moving to Arizona. Reporting live in Weiser, Brian Morin, KBOI 2 News.
Well, Chief Meteorologist Roland Stedham joins us now. So, okay, Roland, when a river reaches what's called major flood stage, what does this mean?
What it means is that the damage associated with the flooding is expected to be major where the river begins to spill over its banks. Now, we saw evidence of what happened. And, Natalie, when it comes to flooding, in order to understand where we are going, it helps to understand where we have been. I've got a graphic I'd like to show you. Once again, this is the flood that took place on February the 10th. And as far as the Weiser River is concerned, the all-time historical record flood occurred in 1997 when the river hit 17.2 feet. That was astronomical. This season so far, as Brian mentioned, on February the 10th, we had a 12-foot flood. That's what caused all this damage. But see, that was a little different scenario. There was a lot of ice jam flooding that was taking place, so the water was forced around a lot of the ice jams. But then on February the 21st, we had a nearly 12-foot. This is right around what's called moderate flood stage. Now what we're talking about is what's going to be a major flood stage that is anticipated by tomorrow afternoon. And I got a graphic to show you exactly what that means as far as the major flood stage is concerned. Once we hit and cross over that barrier and we start spilling over into the major category, that's when we expect to see major damage. It's kind of like with a hurricane. When they start talking about major hurricanes, they're only 20% of the hurricanes that are major, but they're the ones that cause 80% of the damage. So when you start getting into major flood category, that's when we really start getting concerned, and it's expected to peak out at about 13.2 feet by tomorrow afternoon. All this is being driven by the combination of the warm temperatures, the excessive snow melt that is going to be taking place, and with the tremendous snowpack that the lower Treasure Valley has been affected with throughout much of the season. While we had very dry conditions here for the last 5-6 weeks, the lower Treasure Valley, the foothills, the mountains surrounding there still had a tremendous amount of snow. The combination of that rain that's coming down is hitting that snow. It's causing it to melt, and that's what's causing the Weiser River to rise. And again, the Weiser River is the one river that is not controlled by any dams or reservoirs. So you can see we have a scattering of primary rain showers here in the Treasure Valley. It's also affecting our local mountains. And on top of that, we also have a flood advisory that is in effect for all of the counties that you see to the north and to the east of the Treasure Valley. It is in effect until tomorrow night for minor flooding that is already occurring in streams and in local creeks out there. And here's the satellite imagery. This is the last surge of moisture. Once we get through this last pocket of precipitation, that's it. We're going to dry out for a little while, but the temperatures are going to stay very mild. 46 degrees for the overnight low tonight. Chance of showers tonight and tomorrow morning. And then we dry things out tomorrow afternoon and we go to 60 degrees. Wait to see how warm it gets in the 7-day forecast. Coming up in just a few. Here's Brent.